All right. So phase three company is, this is where it's exciting. This is where you can really sell it for quite a bit of money, and this is kind of where everybody wants to get to phase three or phase four. If you're an entrepreneur, this is gonna you'll be able to retire off this money, hopefully. So you could have no other money saved up, and chances are, if you sell your business for 10 million bucks, you should be able to retire. That is not financial advice. Ask your financial planner, but I'd probably be able to retire off 10 million bucks. Anyway, so this is where this is for the accredited investors. This is what they're going to want to. This is what they're going to want to see, and this is where things get exciting, right? So everything in stage two, we went over stage one, we went over stage two. Everything in stage two is completed. If you've completed all that and you're scaling your business, if you've completed all this stuff in phase one and phase two, your business is going to be scalable, and you should be able to get to $1 million in EBITDA or greater. You should be able to get to you know 5 million in EBITDA if you got the right people in place. Anyways, so we got more than 5 years of profitability, 5 years of NTR statements. We've got a review engagement or quality earnings report. That's what they're going to do in their diligence. That's what they're going to want. Um, so the accounting system can break revenue and expenses down by business unit, right? Profit margin is, greater than 10%. Hopefully it's greater than 20%. Again, with the SOPs and everything else, hopefully the efficiency is there, right? Hopefully you're able to bring way more than 10% down to that bottom line, right? Now you've got a CFO or an in-house accountant with a CPA designation. So you're big enough where you have your own CFO or controller in-house, right? You've got detailed pro forma budget and future forecasts exist, right? This is a professionally managed company now, The business has a cloud-based financial dashboard that tracks daily performance and projections, and it's not the accounting system, right? So all your accounts receivable less than 90 days, all your accounts payable less than 90 days. I think that's less than. Yeah, less than. There you go. Balance sheet is cleaned up to remove all assets or liabilities that would not transfer to a buyer. So now you're cleaning up your balance sheet, you're getting it ready to sell, right? So you're removing anything that would not move over to the next person. You're getting that off the balance sheet. So the trailing 12 months all show a profit. Every month is profitable. Inventory COGS are properly tracked, right? Trailing 12 months balance sheet shows long-term liabilities are slowly getting paid down, depending. It depends on the strategy. If you guys grew this through a whole bunch of acquisitions, I guess you'd still be paying it down. It'd be growing, and then once you're stabilizing the company, it'd come down. Uh, so all the loan documentation is there, and all your past loans are paid off, and you've got documentation that shows, hey, the loan was paid off. So the financial information is readily available, and each person is empowered to impact the financial performance in their role or department. So again, legal, everything is been handled in phase two or in stage two. But now you've got all your employee contracts are up to date, contractor suppliers are up to date, supplier contracts are up to date, shareholder buy sell agreement is up to date, stock option and warrant agreements are up to date, shareholder power of attorney agreements are up to date. So if something happens to somebody in the business, right, somebody can make a decision for them. Somebody has power of attorney to make that decision. So if somebody winds up in the hospital and is terminally ill or in a coma, somebody else is able to make that decision. They can sign off on the sale of the business. Whew. So terms and conditions, terms of use, and privacy policies are all up to date. Other insurance, key man, E&O equipment, everything's up to date. All the insurance is up to date. Uh, If you've terminated employees, it's all properly documented and all the grievances are already settled. All the workplace claims are documented and settled. You have all the government licenses that are necessary to operate the business. Everything is in place. The regulatory and government licensing is not tied to you as the owner, it's tied to the business. Uh, so all your IP is legally protected. And so a strategic buyer might want to actually buy your business because otherwise they don't get access to that IP. So operational, this is where, this is a professionally managed company now, right? You've accomplished all the stuff in phase one and phase two, and you're growing. And with that, with all that SOP and all that documentation, now you can scale up. You can hire more people, and you can train them in an efficient manner, right? So you have a general manager, president in place to run the company. Again, depending on the size of it, it's a general manager. If it's way bigger, it might be a CEO or president, right? So the owner can now leave the business for 6 months without any disruption. So the owner is not involved in any sales functions. The owner is not involved in any with any of the key accounts. Nothing is tied to the owner. Now it's tied to the business. Right? You've got a succession plan in place for all key staff. So when Martha wants to retire, we have a plan in place for replacing Martha, right? There's a succession plan in place for all the owners as well, right? So you have an HR manager or a VP of HR. So instead of using an HR company, or maybe you still use an HR company, but you have somebody in charge of that function of the business for bringing employees in. So all the staff are on long-term employment contracts. They're all on contract. Business has a documented hiring process that is replicable for every position in the company. Right? They use psychometric tests are used in the hiring process. The company has a cloud-based onboarding and training system for new employees. The company has a benefits, profit sharing, stock option, or other plan focused on increasing employee retention and buy-in. All team members know the company's number one goal for the quarter. Right? We're all aligned on what we're trying to accomplish. Company has a detailed organization chart, right? For marketing, you've got a marketing manager. Again, so you've got an HR manager, you've got a CEO, you've got an accounting manager, right? And so all this stuff is in place. Company has an automated marketing system that creates new high-value leads on a monthly basis. So you've got a marketing system in place for bringing in new high-value clients, right, or customers. Company has an automated social media campaign running on multiple social platforms. Company has a dedicated marketing department or external marketing agency it employs. Company tracks the performance of each marketing campaign. Company has multiple awards in its space, right? So now this is a really great company. Company has a sales manager, a VP of sales. Again, we've got a manager for each function in the business. We've got sales systems and compensation are tied to company KPIs, which are linked to sales goals and budgets. Everything is linked back to either revenue or efficiency, right? You're either a revenue person or an efficiency person, right? The owner is not connected to any sales accounts in the CRM. Customer base has grown in the last 4 quarters. Company's sales system has more than 5 channels for generating new business. Or is that less than? Maybe it's less than. I don't know. I'm not the best for this greater than, less than thing. Anyways, information IT. You have a manager in place for your IT. You have an enterprise or equivalent cloud-based operating system in place. Data is backed up hourly to the cloud. Security audit has been completed within the last 12 months. So you have a dedicated person in charge of customer service. The top 30 customers represent less than 50% of revenue. All large customers are on long-term contracts or agreements. Company has a systematized and digitized customer onboarding process. Suppliers and vendors. Company has a system for connecting with suppliers each year to negotiate terms and contracts. Owner does not deal with any suppliers, vendors, or ordering, right? So you have like a purchasing manager in this, once you're at this point. General facility and culture. Business uses checklists or automated blueprints for every departmental process. Again, everything follows those SOPs. Those SOPs have now developed into checklists, right? Or automated blueprints. Company has an up-to-date business plan. Company uses external advisors to expedite growth. Company has a robust vision, mission, and values document that all employees are trained with. Company has an operational system for managing the cadence of deliverable, goal setting, and tracking. EOS, Rockefeller, Habit, Scrum, whatever, right? So you have a operational system for managing the cadence of deliverables and goals. So you have, this is all about the culture of the business. There you go. Company has detailed and documented quality control processes, and facility has less than 20% available space to grow into. Greater than. There you go. Okay, and we might as well go to it. So this is the big boy stage 4 company. This is when you're a big company, and you've got EBITDA of more than 3 million. You get Q of E reports. You're legal. Everything is protected. You've already accomplished everything in the first two. You have key man insurance for critical employees in the company, and you might even have an in-house lawyer. So operational, key person dependency. So now you got a board in place that decentralizes decision making. The owner doesn't need to be present in the business for it to operate and grow. So now the business grows without the owner's involvement at all. Right? You've got professional management that's running the business. Right? So the company has its own HR department. Company has executive compensation packages tied to growth. Again, the CEO, CFO, COO, they're all being compensated properly. So the company has a proven HR system so it can scale if capital allows. Company hires a PR company or internal PR team. Company has a proven marketing system which can scale if more capital were available. Company has a sales team and sales department. Company has a proven sales system which can scale if more capital were available. IT, same thing. Proven IT which can scale if more capital were available. Again, now you can scale your customer service system. Everything's scalable at this point. Company has a supplier manager, a VP for vendors. Again, so now you have a purchasing manager. Company may have a team or department managing suppliers, vendors, and ordering. Company has a proven supplier system which can scale if more capital were available. And then company has a culture and facilities manager. Company has a proven facility system which can scale if more capital available. And that's why these are so desirable, and that's why people are willing to pay so much for these companies. And the reason is because if this company's already set up to scale, so if more capital is available to this company, if you inject more money, now you can really scale this company. So all the normal problems the company would have been solved. And now we're at stage 4, and now this is a super highly attractive, valuable asset. Anyways, God bless you, Raph.